Half a day, I'm May Habib. This is Coffee with the Candidates with PNC News. I'm joined today with Democratic senatorial hopeful, Mr. Frank Leon Guerrero. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, May. I'm happy to be here.
All right, let's get right into it. Frank, tell me, why do you want to run?
What do I want to run? That's a good question, May, because I really, even though people had approached me before about running for politics just wasn't in my blood, but the scenario is different. We have a pandemic situation, we have the economical crisis, we have a lot of things going on. And I'm a first responder, I'm law enforcement, I come here, I serve the people, I've been serving people going on for over 40 years. And I've been in law enforcement for nearly 40 years, but worked with other U.S. governments, the Congressman's office. I've worked with the legislature, and I feel that I'm well-rounded. I was ready to retire, but then this situation came up. Several people came up to me and said, we need you, we need your expertise and stuff like that to help out in this situation, this world situation, because it's not just Guam, it's the whole world, and we're affected by it. So I had to think about it for a little bit, and I said, yes, we really need justice. In that sense, I will come, but I'm still not a politician.
Still not a politician that's not a politician. So tell me, is it something that you see happening with the current government, the current administration, in terms of their reaction to COVID-19 or how they've handled the pandemic that you would have done differently? Or what is it exactly about COVID-19 that's drawing you to run?
Well, the thing about it is, I'm seeing first responders. I'm a first responder, and I mentioned that. And we've been into, law enforcement gets into these crisis situations. I've been into Korean airline crash, I've been to shootouts, I've been through other stuff. So it's kind of like a triage. You want to prioritize emergencies and other things where people need help. So the government, what I'm saying is, we're taking too long. We're fighting over issues about payments or little stuff like that. The people that are in the front that are trying to save lives, they're not getting the immediate support. So I would like to knock down the walls, get help, not just get over these obstacles and get the equipment out to the people, whether it's shipping it in, let's forget about all the red tape. Get the equipment, get it on the ground, bring them in, disperse it to the people so we can help and save lives. And that's my response. That's the way you want to handle the situation. Okay? Look at who and where areas that need the most help. You just kind of like triage the whole thing. People that are dying, get them that emergency equipment first. People that can wait, okay, we'll sort that out, we'll get you help, but in the meantime, let me take care of these things, and I'm good at that.
You know, a lot of our funding, especially with the COVID-19, is dependent on the federal government. A lot of it has come through the CARES Act, and there's, conversations about a second iteration of that. How do you feel your relationship would be with your federal counterparts, or in federal conversations? Sometimes senators are allowed to sit in on those conversations. What would that look like for you? Then
again, what I was just saying is, I'd like to get in there, find out what the obstacles are, get this money out. Right now, there's a lot of money sitting there just waiting to be used. And people are, I guess, they're debating on whether we should use it now, use it later, or use it for another purpose. I said, come on, guys. You got the nurses, you got the police officers, you got all the emergency people that are out there, you got people dying, you got the hospitals. Use some money, give it to them. And one of the things is, you have to, not only just in the equipment, but now they're arguing about paying these people, the first responders, getting them money. And is it possible that we can get this money to fund these essential employees? I certainly think so. Because right now we're not in ground zero. So we have time to actually take a break and go over there. But when we get hit really solid, are these officers, are these nurses going to be there for us because we're not paying them, we're not considering them essential employees and paying them?
So you're touching on the issue of double pay. Are you
Double
saying,
pay, yeah.
are you saying that
Yeah.
you support double pay for the GovGuam essential workers?
Of course, yes. I'd like to get them out because they also are struggling. They have to leave their families. They have to leave their families, go to work, stuff like that. And who's staying home? It's gonna cost them more to have somebody to watch him, send him to school, and all of these other expenses that these guys are worrying about. It's gonna incur a lot of expenses. Well, anyway, get the money out, get them and motivate these people. Not just motivation, but it's really, they need the money to get to work. And I'm hearing that when some places, countries are overwhelmed, nurses are just giving up because they're not getting that support. Police officers are gonna, all these first responders are literally just, look, we don't want this anymore. You're not supporting us.
You were in the police force yourself, GPD. Of course, you just retired last year as the U.S. Marshal for Guam and the CNMI. Tell me, what do you think the state of public safety is right now on Guam?
What is the state?
Of public safety.
I think the public safety, we have a real good system. It just needs support. Here's what I'm seeing is, I see the police officers. Yes, they're limited on the number of personnel that are out on the street. I'm gonna roughly throw it out at 300. It may be way less than that. Unfortunately, they're being detailed to other duties, watching this, watching that. They're not doing police work. May go up and down the street and tell me how police officers go by and that you can count in a day. And if you see one, he's probably responding to another incident. He's not doing the traffic stuff. The only pretty much person that are doing any traffic stuff right now are the highway patrol officers because they're federally funded.
So
And
you would
then
want to get more officers?
I
You'd
would
wanna
like
see
to get more officers out on the street. We're talking about protecting the people of Guam, but we're not protecting the people of Guam because there's no officers on the street. They're over there. Oh my God. They're out there directing traffic for the food supplies. Can that be done by someone else, for some other agencies or something? If use the money, hire the private security agencies or something, make a direct traffic. They have the skills, work with the mayors, everybody else and stuff like that, but get the officers out of the street so you can protect the people, the community that's out there.
Yeah, and Mr. Leon Guerrero, there has been a marked increase in crime. In fact, we see a lot of videos of petty crime, especially as people face hard times. Youth are also a lot of times implicated in petty crimes like this.
Yes.
What would be your method of combating youth crime and perhaps trying to rehabilitate youth in our community?
One of the things is, as a traveler, before I get into any city and other places, stuff like that, I call my friends and say, hey, what's the police officers like over here? Are they mean? Are they easy? Or do they exist? And where do you think we are? We don't exist because they're not out in the street. If you're mean, a lot of that already sends a message to me that as soon as I land on that particular city, I will drive very carefully. I was went to a class in New Mexico. It says, New Mexico Tech area says, do not exceed the speed limit. Do not do these things. Why? Because they will hit hard. So that's just a message.
And how does that relate back to youth?
Well, the thing, get these officers, get the education for the students, stuff. Let them know that if you get the police officers out on the streets, do the education and stuff like that, where they're educating, just show the presence. Officer presence, let them go up and down the street and talk to people. Some of the things is what I'm seeing is we're not keeping good information. We have a thing called the field interrogation card. So we put it on a piece of paper. What's your name? What happened over here? And so, okay, throw that in a file somewhere. But we don't have a database or something, because if we kept an electronic database or something, and then we work with that thing, and we can actually, Guam is a small island, we can actually start identifying, well, who these people are, where they hang out, and we just kind of tracking, work with just educating them and everything else. Be a good cop also. Just tell them to slow down. There's minor infractions, take it easy, and all these other stuff. But then again, there's where the police presence is at. There are much more. To me, I see more drug busts, more money being, more drugs being caught in the streets rather than at the post office waiting for
So
them
it
to come.
ultimately comes down to that police presence, as you're saying,
Police
and
presence.
hiring more frontliners.
Or not necessarily, sometimes you maybe the answer is not just hiring them, but put them on the streets. Strategically, put them on the streets and the villages, because, okay, I'm from Guerrero, northern part. What do they say? They have 5 patrol officers. You know how big Guerrero is? What's the population? Over 40,000 people in there? And you have 5 police officers per shift. That's 3
Absolutely.
shifts, it's 12.
Yeah,
I think
and
they get
I don't
50
think anybody will
less,
disagree with you, sir, honestly, and I want to give you the opportunity to give a quick bite to the audience as to why they should vote for you as a closing.
What I like to do is put the officers, that's just one aspect of it, is put the officers back in the street and let them do police work, let them do the enforcement, let them protect the people, make them visible to people, because if you have that visibility, the people will see that they feel safer just driving. And when I see a patrol officer, I'm a police officer, but when I see a police officer driving up and down the front of my street, I'm happy, because then it's not just because of me, it's because that presence, where people are seeing that presence, patrol presence, is the deterrence against crime. Okay. So those are just focus and get them out there, police presence, and then the communication is even more immediate, because I know the police officer was just a few minutes away from here.
Absolutely, and we thank you so much for your time and for your pitch as to why everybody should be voting for you. Again, it's Frank Leon Guerrero, Democratic senatorial candidate for the 36th Guam legislature. I'm Mahabi with PNC News. Thank you for tuning in.
Number 5.